What's up, everybody? It's Charles, and today we are talking about doing side work. That's right, grabbing your wrenches, bringing them home, and working on cars, maybe at the house, maybe at a little shop you rent. Pros, cons, should you do it, shouldn't you do it, what have I done? All of that and more. Let's get to it. The kind of side work we're mostly focusing on today is grabbing those wrenches, bringing them home, or maybe you got a box of tools at the house already, and fixing cars off-site, off of your main job at the independent, at the dealership, fleet mechanic, whatever you do. This is outside of that. Now, let me be clear. I love the side hustle. I love the grind. It's one of my favorite things. I like making money a lot. I like having it. I like spending it more than I should. And of course, saving it is also ultra important. So I like the side hustle, but when it comes to doing side work, I kind of walk the line between it's a good idea and don't do it because it's not worth the risk. All right, let's start off with the pros. You can make some pretty fair money doing side work. You're taking a skill you already have, taking tools you already own, and you're just bringing that to the house. A lot of times you're working for cash, which is awesome. It gives you an opportunity to supplement the slow times, or maybe you're just flat out not making enough money at the dealership or independent shop. So it's a good way to put some extra bucks into your pocket. This is also a pretty good method of building your own customer base. Now, there's gonna be some negatives to that one too, but if you're thinking about maybe opening a shop, this could be a path to begin to do that. Or I think what a lot of guys do is they start doing side work and then have so much work they just end up opening a shop, both of which can be really great things. You can pick and choose the work that you want to do. Unlike at the dealership where you're handed a set of keys and said, here, work on this car, you can pick and choose what you want to do. So you can do the easy things or do the things that you know you have the tools for, you know that there's a high profit margin, a high efficiency rate for. Basically, you can do the gravy work. Like for me, 1.8 turbo Passat timing belts. I could do those all day long, and boy, that would be awesome if I did. You can do whatever you want, you pick and choose. You can even do some of the things like at the dealership, maybe they don't let you do, like lowering springs or performance upgrades, intakes, all that kind of stuff. The amount of things that you can do different to the dealership or different to the independent shop, and picking and choosing which ones you want to do versus which ones you don't. If you need more money, you do more side work. If you don't, or you want to take a vacation, or you're just like, screw it, I'm done, you don't have to do it. That's the cool thing about side work. Whether you want to do it, whether you don't want to do it, doesn't really matter because you get to pick and choose. You're driving the ship, and that, my friends, is a very good feeling. For the side work thing, I think seeing the pros are pretty easy and pretty straightforward, and I actually think there's a lot more cons to doing side work, a lot more negatives to doing side work than there are positives. One of the ones that I see being the biggest issue is this can be a huge liability for you. Think about all those things that go wonky at the dealership. Parts break, parts don't come in, it's more work than you quoted. A bolt breaks in a really unhappy way. You look at a coolant hose wrong and it decides to explode. All of those really odd scenarios that happen at the shop can also happen to you at your house. When you're doing side work, who's gonna pay for that? Is that something the customer's gonna have to pay for? Is that something you're gonna have to pay for out of pocket? Those are things you need to consider before you take that side work. Also, what happens if you get hurt? At the dealership or the shop, if you get hurt, there's probably somebody right behind you that's gonna be able to piece together whatever that job is. But if you break your hand doing a timing belt in your driveway for a customer, who's gonna finish that job? Are you gonna have to pay to have that car towed and have it done at a shop somewhere else? On the liability front, do you have insurance? Are you covered under insurance if something like that were to happen? What if the car falls off the jack? What if you damage the car? Do you have any kind of insurance for that? So there's a lot of those variables that come around safety and come around breaking parts that you really need to consider before you take that side work in. One that I dealt with directly a couple of times is your current shop, dealership independent, may not want you doing side work. The policy at the dealership I worked for was you're not allowed to do side work. And that was the policy. There was also the understanding, not so much the approval, but the understanding that what a tech does with the tools that he brings home or she brings home in their driveway is nobody's business but theirs. This could also really backfire you and end up costing you your job. And I think a lot of shop owners or managers really do frown upon you doing work, especially when it's on brand. So if I started doing a ton of VW side work at the house, eventually the dealership may have had a problem with it. And if you're doing that side work at the shop, that can be a deal breaker almost instantly. We actually had a guy lose his job over that exact thing. He did some side work on it, something went sideways, and he ended up getting fired. I mean, to me, it's my house, it's my tools, I can do whatever I want, and that's my take on it. But you also really don't want to pee in the Wheaties of your service department or your shop and make them feel, or even allow them to begin to feel, that you might be taking work away from the shop or pulling customers out of that shop. To a lot of owners and a lot of managers, that's going to be a no-go, a deal breaker really darn quick. I would say too, you probably don't want to buy parts through the shop with your discount. You probably want to get them somewhere else, because your manager or shop owner may not want you giving that discount away to customers that aren't coming into their shop. Now, we can play both sides of that. Like, they may not have made the sale anyway, so it's better to have a sale at a discount than not a sale at all. But that's something you really need to tread lightly with and be super careful of if you're gonna be doing that. One of the ones that always scared me the most once we got past getting hurt is what happens if something goes wrong? What happens if you do a CV boot and the car breaks on the customer's test drive, right? We all make mistakes, we're all human, these things happen. What happens when you do that side work and now they're picking up the phone and they're calling your boss saying, hey, one of your techs did this? And that stuff does happen. Things go wrong. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's just the universe wasn't in your favor that day. So even if like the shop is okay with doing side work, if your boss gets a call saying you screwed up someone's car, they may have a real big problem with that, because it can look bad for you, of course, and possibly for the shop. I know all of you guys doing side work for cash are paying all of your taxes. Okay, if you're not, you might want to consider it, you might not. I'm gonna leave that one up to you. I have my opinions on the whole tax structure that I'll keep to myself, because this is about fixing cars, not paying taxes. We have all complained as technicians, as pretty much people, that customers are always trying to get something for free, right? They came in for this, they want this for free. Why is this costing me money? It should be free. Remember that all those concerns are probably gonna happen to you on a personal level. So instead of your advisor dealing with it or your service manager dealing with it, you're gonna be dealing with it. Now, there are some people that consider side work black market auto repair, or taking business away from the auto industry, or undermining technicians. Well, I think the industry does a pretty good job of undermining their technicians, period, so I'm not too worried about that. I don't feel so strongly against side work. It wasn't for me, but I think if you want to do it, there's good ways to do it. But I do understand where they're coming from when a technician is pulling work out of a shop potentially, I should say, and doing it at their house for maybe a third of labor rate. I get why people feel that way. I don't really feel that way. And I think the term black market auto repair is kind of silly, but you could probably make a pretty good case that that is a realistic thing. One of the big cons, probably the biggest con for me anyway, and I know a lot of you guys, is that this pulls time away from other things. Now, if you need money, go make money. I'm all for that. But this can pull time away from family, friends, all that kind of stuff. And for me, family comes first. I have done a pretty good amount of side work over the years. Timing belts, brakes, fog light installs, radio installs, all kinds of different stuff. And for the most part, everything went fine. There was one issue that I had. I did some side work with somebody and things kind of went sideways. Real minor thing, but it could have also went much worse than it did. I've also heard stories and have friends that things went real sideways and they ended up not getting paid, or they called their shop and complained. We had a guy again get fired over that kind of thing. So I always felt by the time I was done and I had the cash in my hand that it was great having a stack of cash in my hand, but it was never really a victory. Never like, woohoo, I won. It was like, all right, cool, I'm done. I got a couple bucks in my pocket. So if you are going to do side work, you have got to be smart about it, which means don't let your shop feel like you're stealing their customers. I wouldn't be advertising around the dealership or independent shop, hey guys, I do side work. That seems like a great way to get yourself fired. You need to be safe. Remember, all the normal automotive rules still apply. Don't spray brake clean in your eyeball. Wear safety equipment. Be safe working under the car. All that stuff, of course, applies. I would also, if I were going to be doing this for anyone besides a friend, a true friend, not like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, I would have a contract and I would write it down. I would get everything on paper. I would have signatures. If you want to do digi contracts, that's cool too. I would also want some money up front, parts and part of the labor, just in case they flake. You really want to start to treat this more like a business if you're serious than just like kind of a part-time hobby, because again, things going wrong can end up injury or costing you a job or costing you a ton of money that if you're trying to do side work to make extra money, you probably don't have. Always, 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 always do good work. Otherwise, hang those wrenches up and go do something else. On the doing something else note, if you're needing money and strapped for cash, maybe doing side work isn't the best way to do it. Maybe delivering pizzas is a better way. Now, I will say there is a place to win the side work game, especially if you're off-brand. So if I started at the dealership while I was working on VWs, if I started taking in Subarus and working on those, nobody would care about that. Or if I'm building hot rod motorcycles and a Ford technician by day, no one cares about that. But it's when you have that shop owner, shop manager, feeling like you're stealing their work because that's what they'll feel like, then that's when you're gonna run into a problem. So overall for me, it was rarely worth it unless I was helping a buddy out. Then it really wasn't side work. It was more kicking back with some beers, having a good time, getting back to the roots of enjoying fixing cars, which was actually nice and refreshing to get out of the rat race of the dealership. So that brings the question of the day. What do you guys think? Do you do side work? Is it worth it? As a customer, do you like someone that offers to do it at the house? Seems a little sketchy to me, but I could see it going good or bad. That has led to plenty of shops opening up on their own. Drop that down in the comment section, guys. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe. And hey, do me one last favor. Hit that share button. Share this with someone that may want to know more about doing side work. Guys, that's it. I'm out. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you again next time.